Hello, my name is Nathan Huang,
And my name is Jason Chai.
and welcome to our podcast, Music Explored. Today, we will be discussing Capriccio Español by Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov.
Let's begin with the composer, Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov. He was born on March 18, 1844, in Tikhvin, Russia.
Interestingly, his life didn't begin with music. At 12 years old, he entered a naval academy where he became an officer. It was during this time that he began to study music independently.
Then, in 1861, Rimsky-Korsakov met Mily Balakirev. Through him, he joined a group called The Five, which shaped his musical style and his early approach to composition.
Right. Eventually, he fully shifted his focus to music. He became a professor on composition and orchestration. This advanced approach to music led him to compose Capriccio Español in 1887.
Now, let's talk about the piece itself, Capriccio Español. It was based on Spanish folk melodies due to Rimsky-Korsakov's appreciation for Western musical techniques.
This piece actually started out as a violin solo with orchestra, but was later changed to an orchestral work to better bring out the melodies.
It is scored for piccolo, 2 flutes, 2 oboes, with 1 doubling on English horn, 2 clarinets in B-flat and A, and 2 bassoons.
Then, there are 4 horns in F, 2 trumpets in B-flat and A, 3 trombones, and a tuba.
For percussion, there's timpani, triangle, side drum, bass drum, cymbals, tambourine, and castanets. There are also harps and strings.
This piece features 5 movements: alberata, variazioni, alberata, scena e canto gitano, and fandango asturiano. These are attacca, meaning there are no stops between the movements. A complete performance takes approximately 16 minutes.
Let's jump into the first movement, alberado. This movement begins in the key of A major, with the tempo markings being vivo e strepitoso, meaning very fast, energetic, and bold.
The first phrase starts with all the instruments at fortissimo before transitioning to solo clarinet at con forza, which means with force, with every other instrument dropping to piano.
This phrase repeats one more time, and then transitions to a violin solo that carries the movement to the end.
Movement 2, variazioni, is in F major and starts with the French horns presenting a lyrical theme in andante con modo, which means a moderate tempo. This melody is then handed off to the strings.
Afterwards, the English horn begins playing the melody, and then the French horns present a new variation along with the clarinet.
Eventually, the full ensemble joins in to restate the theme. Once they arrive at tempo 1, clarinet 2 and the strings play a 16th note variation of the melody.
At the very end, the flutes play a chromatic pattern in a trill, setting the stage for the next movement.
Movement 3 is alberata once again, and features the same theme from the first movement. However, this is in the key of B-flat major.
This features the clarinet and violin solos, but their roles are now reversed. The violin starts with the main melody, and the clarinet carries the movement to the next one.
Movement 4, scena e canto gitano, features many distinct cadenzas, which is a solo passage in a musical work where the orchestra stops. This starts in the key of F and begins with a snare drum that continuously plays as the French horns and trumpets play a cadenza.
It then transitions to the violin cadenza while the snare drum keeps playing until the cadenza ends, and transitions to a clarinet and flute solo.
Afterwards, the flute has its own cadenza, followed by the clarinet. The clarinet's cadenza ends with an oboe solo that connects to the harp cadenza.
The orchestra then joins in and plays a similar melody to the clarinet and flute solo from before. This is then followed by a unique melody by the cellos, oboes, and clarinets.
Then the flutes and oboes introduce another melody, which is then played along with bassoon and the clarinet. The orchestra then plays the clarinet and flute melody from before, with even more instruments.
Finally, the movement concludes with the chromatic sequence that leads to the next movement.
The final movement is called fandango asturiano and is in the key of A. This is a 3/4 time signature and starts with the orchestra playing an initial melody.
A violin solo, along with the clarinet and flute, plays a variation on this melody, and later there are 2 clarinet solos with a different variation on that same melody.
The whole orchestra now plays a variation on that melody until the coda, which is a concluding passage to composition that acts as the final ending. During the coda, they play the theme from the first movement until the end.
With this, we come to the conclusion of today's episode.
Thank you for joining us today, and we will see you next time.